My father is visibly the richest man in the country, but honestly, my only daily goal is to figure out how to completely cut ties with this family. Today, we were having another explosive argument. Give me 10 million bucks, and I'll leave this city immediately, I stated flatly. I guarantee I won't bother any of you for even a microsecond. My father, Richard Sterling, narrowed his eyes. Do you really want to cut ties with us that badly? My mother, Laura, frowned deeply. Arthur, there has to be a limit to your tantrums. You're only 17, still a minor. If you leave the city, where exactly do you plan to go? I curled my lip and rolled my eyes at them. Where I go is absolutely none of your business. My mother's face paled, her voice trembling. Arthur, I am your biological mother. If I don't care about you, who will? I let out a sarcastic scoff. My biological mother? Funny. Sitting in that orphanage for 17 years, I never received the memo that I had a mom. You didn't bother to check on me for 17 years, and now you suddenly remember my existence? Are you guys done role-playing the caring parents? Do you even know your place? Right on cue, the fake young master Colin turned on the waterworks. Tears welled up in his eyes as he mumbled, backing away. Mom, I'll go. I'll be fine living out there alone. I'm not afraid. My mother rushed over to stop him. Where are you going? You are a son of the Sterling family. You aren't going anywhere. Then, she turned her furious glare back to me. Is what happened back then Colin's fault? He was just a newborn baby. I smirked. Do you guys not speak English? Or do you just spend all day kicking each other's brains out? 10 million bucks and we cut ties. Where I go has nothing to do with you. You ignored me for over a decade. It's a bit late to play parent now. You only have one face. Why don't you try saving a little bit of pride? My father's face hardened into a scowl. Arthur, we are your biological parents, your legal guardians. You are a minor. You're not going anywhere. You will stay in this house. Neither you nor Colin is leaving. I frowned. I have a severe allergy to crowds. I can't stand living with someone who has more manipulative schemes than hairs on his head. Seeing my determination to leave, my mother's eyes reddened. Arthur, we are a family. Can't we just sit down and talk nicely? I shoved my hands in my pockets, my expression turning ice cold. I just find that little brat an eyesore. What are you going to do about it? If you want me to stay, he has to roll out of here. Pick one. Your biological son, or your adopted pet of 17 years. Colin, tears streaming down his face, chimed in with a trembling voice. Mom, Dad, if he hates me that much, I'll go. This house was supposed to be his anyway. My mother, heartbroken, wiped his tears. Nonsense. You are my most precious son. No one has the right to chase you away. I clenched my fists, muttering under my breath. Where is Grandpa? If this bad acting continues, I might actually have to throw some punches to teach them how to be human. My father glared and yelled, Arthur, how can you be so vicious? Colin is only 17. You chasing him out is basically sending him to his doom, I replied with a deadpan face. Oh, yep, you got me. I want him gone. If you have a problem with it, call the cops. My father pointed at the door and roared, get out and never come back. I laughed disdainfully, as if I care about this Sterling house of yours. With that, I turned to leave. Colin quickly ran over and grabbed my arm, his voice practically begging. Brother, don't leave! You are Mom and Dad's real son. I'm the one who should leave. Before he could finish his sentence, he let out a dramatic shriek. 3 horrifying screams echoed through the villa, so loud that even Grandpa, who had just stepped through the front door, heard them. Colin, pale as a ghost, threw himself into my mother's arms, sobbing uncontrollably. It hurts so much, Mom. My mother hugged him tight, cooing, Colin, don't be scared. Mom will call a doctor right away. Through his sobs, Colin managed to squeeze out a line. Mom, don't blame him, he didn't mean to do it. Hearing him defend me, my mother charged at me. Without a word, she raised her hand to slap me. I sneered, catching her wrist in a vice grip. With a firm push, I sent Mother Sterling stumbling backward until she fell flat on the floor. Oops, gravity. My father bellowed, Arthur, you dare lay a hand on your mother? You ungrateful brat! He raised his hand ready to strike me. I laughed coldly. Old man, I've tolerated you people for way too long. Today, I'm not just tossing her, I'm not sparing you either. I grabbed my father's wrist and delivered a swift kick to his stomach, sending him flying. Right at that exact moment, Grandpa and my eldest sister Tiffany walked into the living room, arriving just in time to witness me kicking my father across the room. I dusted off my hands, looking at them with utter contempt. Want to fight me? Go train for another 10 years. Grandpa coughed awkwardly. What on earth is going on here? Seeing Grandpa, Colin's tears fell like a broken dam. Grandpa, it's my fault. I shouldn't have stayed. Please don't blame him. Grandpa frowned. What exactly happened? Speak clearly. I looked at Grandpa with a faint smile. They wanted to hit me, so I hit back in self-defense. Is that too much? Grandpa's expression softened slightly. Even so, they are your biological parents, I snorted. Biologically speaking, sure. Parents? That's a stretch. My mother helped my father up, gritting her teeth as she spoke to Grandpa. Dad, if he doesn't want to stay in the Sterling family, let him get out. But he shouldn't even dream of taking a single penny from us. I shrugged. No money? Fine. But I wonder what the newspaper headlines will be tomorrow. Let's see. Shocking. Sterling family's eldest young master is a counterfeit. The real young master, raised in an orphanage, gets kicked to the curb without a dime of child support. Does that sound catchy enough? My father's eyes rolled back in pure rage. You wouldn't dare, I replied calmly. Watch me. Colin started his sobbing routine again. Mom, Dad, let me go. If I leave, he won't have to. Hearing him wail again, I lost my temper. Damn it! Cry, cry, cry! Is that all you know how to do? I swear, every time I see you, I want to slap you into the next dimension. Acting like a saint while playing the victim, do you really think you're a Buddha? My mother quickly shielded Colin, glaring at me with eyes full of hellfire. My father turned to Grandpa, trembling with rage. Dad, you see this? His nature hasn't changed a bit. He even dares to hit his own parents. I absolutely refuse to acknowledge this, son, I sneered. As if I'm dying to be your son. With your IQ, counting the moon at night and the sun by day is about all you're good for. My father looked at me with disgust, pulled a card from his pocket, and slammed it on the table. Here is 5 million. You know the pin. Take it and get the hell out of the Sterling house. I picked up the card, smiling mockingly. 5 million? Are you trying to shoo away a beggar? Fine, I've got nothing else to say. I'm out. I turned to walk away, but Grandpa's voice suddenly rang out. Hold on, I didn't turn around. What else? Grandpa's voice was deep and steady. Come with me back to the ancestral home. My mother screamed, Dad, Arthur has violent tendencies. He even hit his own parents. You can't take him to the ancestral home. Grandpa snapped. Shut up! The Sterling family's flesh and blood will absolutely not wander the streets. If you two refuse to care for your own son to protect an outsider, I, as his grandfather, cannot be so biased. He didn't even look at them anymore. His gaze softened as he turned to me. Arthur, you are the grandson of the Sterling family. If you don't want to live with them, come with me. My father was in shock. Dad, are you really going to take Arthur to the ancestral home? Grandpa crossed his arms, shooting him a cold look. Yes, Arthur comes with me. Don't any of you come bothering us. In 7 days, we will hold a banquet to officially announce Arthur's identity. Colin gripped his sleeves tightly, asking in a small voice, Grandpa, what about me? Grandpa glanced at him indifferently. The Sterling family does not raise other people's children. I will have someone find your biological mother. Colin's face drained of all color, his lips turning white. His eyes rolled back, and he fainted on the spot. My mother looked at Grandpa with reproachful eyes. Dad, Colin has been raised by our family for 17 years. How can you be so heartless as to drive him away? Eldest sister Tiffany finally spoke up. Mom, are you blaming Grandpa? My mother panicked. No, I'm not blaming you, Dad. I'm just too worried about Colin. Grandpa frowned at my father. I told you a long time ago. An unwise wife brings ruin to 3 generations. Look at yourself. Where are Vanessa, Riley, and Nora? My mother quickly bowed her head in apology. Dad, I'm sorry. It's my fault. I forgot to inform Vanessa and the other girls. It's all my fault. Please don't be angry. I'll call them right now. I smirked. Mrs. Sterling, don't waste your energy. Those cheap sisters of mine don't even consider me their brother. In their eyes, only that little brat Colin is their precious sibling. I rolled up my sleeves, revealing arms covered in bruises. Don't ask how I know. Just yesterday those twin sisters of mine came looking for me to warn me not to steal Colin's place. These bruises are their handiwork. My mother immediately retorted without thinking. Impossible. Riley and Nora would never hit anyone. You're lying. I chuckled coldly. Don't believe me? Check the security cameras. I still remember one of them has a dark mole on the tip of her nose. My mother was stunned, unable to utter a single word. Grandpa frowned deeply and turned to Tiffany. Tiffany, go to the Sterling family's official website right now. Announce Arthur's identity. Invite all the powerful families in the city to attend a Sterling family banquet in 7 days. Also, buy your brother some decent clothes. With that, Grandpa left the villa. Inside the black Maybach, Tiffany sat in the passenger seat while Grandpa and I sat in the back. Grandpa glanced at me, feeling a slight chill in his heart. He had been on the battlefield. He had seen blood and death. The moment I held that 5 million card, He smelled an intense aura of lethality coming from me. He had no doubt that if he let me walk away then, the Sterling family would have faced a catastrophic disaster. Arthur, regarding Colin, rest assured, the Sterling family will handle it. I replied lazily, no need for you to worry, Grandpa. I'll handle Colin myself. Grandpa frowned. Don't act on impulse. Impulsiveness is the devil. I rolled my eyes and smiled. Is Grandpa afraid I won't be able to hold back and just slaughter him? Tiffany, who had her eyes closed, suddenly snapped them open. Murder is illegal! Beating him up a few times is fine. The Sterling family will cover for you. Grandpa softened his tone. Arthur, whatever the problem is, we solve it step by step. Eliminating people isn't the only way. I laughed out loud. Haha, I'm just joking. Don't take it so seriously. I'm just a weak 17-year-old kid. How would I even know how to kill someone? Grandpa took the opportunity to change the subject. You're 17, you should be in high school. Southgate High is the best in the city. How about I arrange a transfer for you? The rest of the ride was silent. The car soon arrived at the Grandview Manor ancestral estate. Meanwhile, back at the Sterling villa, Colin was cradling a face swollen like a pig's head. The three Sterlings looked gloomy. The twins, Riley and Nora, pushed the door open and walked in. They were shocked to the point their jaws nearly dropped. Colin, what happened to your face? Who did this? We'll get revenge for you. Colin, eyes brimming with tears, said, Sisters, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have stayed here. Nora jumped up in a fiery rage. Colin, tell me, who hit you? My mother sighed. It was Arthur. Nora exploded, clenching her fists and looking around. Where is that bastard? He dares to touch Colin. I'll teach him a lesson. My mother replied tiredly. Grandpa took him back to the ancestral home. Both sisters gasped in unison. What? Nora was furious. He beat Colin up like this. Such a vicious brute. Why would Grandpa let him stay at the ancestral home? My father asked coldly. Did you two secretly go find Arthur and bully him? Nora nodded. Yeah, we did. That trashy place he lived in was so dirty and smelly, it ruined my limited edition shoes. My father's face darkened, and he glared at them. Then, he briefly recounted what had happened today, waving his hand in frustration. In 7 days, Grandpa is hosting a banquet to announce Arthur's identity. Even if you hate him, you have to put on a good act. That night, a whole lot of people couldn't sleep. Tiffany posted a bombshell on the Sterling family's official website, revealing that Arthur and Colin had been switched at birth and announcing the identity banquet in 7 days. The comment section exploded immediately. So thrilling, a real-life version of the fake versus true young master trope. Vanessa Sterling, your brother Colin is a fake. As the second sister, do you have anything to say? Vanessa, who had been a rebellious teen trying to break into the entertainment industry, despite singing like a dying duck and dancing like someone having a seizure, only had a bit of fame thanks to the Sterling family's backing. Colin clutched his phone, glaring at the mocking comments on Weibo, his eyes filled with resentment. Vanessa saw the news and called immediately. Hello, Colin, are you okay? Second sister, I'm fine, don't worry. What's the deal with Arthur? Why did eldest sister announce your identities publicly? And Grandpa taking him to the ancestral home? What's Grandpa thinking? Grandpa let him stay at the ancestral home. Second sister is coming back right now to back you up. The identity banquet is in 7 days, right? I'll make sure he loses all face in front of the whole crowd. The next morning, Tiffany sat in her office, staring at a photo on her phone of me wearing a green delivery helmet. She yelled into the phone, Arthur, are you planning on staying out all night? Hold the phone a bit further away, will you? I laughed. Eldest sister, I actually have business to handle. Don't worry, I'll be back on time for the banquet. What? You want to be gone for 6 days? What kind of proper business keeps a teenager out all night? Alright, the light is green. Eldest sister, bye. Remember to cover for me with Grandpa. With that I hung up. The light turned green, and my electric scooter zipped away. Following the GPS, I wandered around the outskirts of the city. Along the way, I casually saved a kid who was being bullied by some thugs, then dusted off my sleeves and rode away, not seeking any glory. Little did I know, someone secretly recorded a video and posted it online. I was completely oblivious. Before it got dark, I arrived at a village nestled against a large mountain. I paid 200 yuan to stay the night at a kind old lady's house. The old lady enthusiastically brought out a steaming bowl of noodles, topped with a fried egg. She asked, Young man, why did you come all the way out here alone? Where's your family? I stared at the steam rising from the bowl. I've loved the mountains since I was a kid. I heard Duan village sits right by a huge mountain range, so I wanted to come check it out. The old lady's face changed, and she quickly waved her hands. You mustn't. A month ago, people heard wolves howling up on that mountain. I rubbed my chin. I see. Thank you, Grandma Duan. I devoured the noodles in 3 bites and snuck out. When night fell, about 2 hours later, I was sitting cross-legged deep in the mountains. The spiritual energy, ki, here was dense, completely different from the city. 5 colored orbs of light swirled around me. I laughed heartily. Oh, the thunder spiritual root. Hard to find even in 10,000 years. Those old geezers who hunted me down in my past life could never have dreamed that after my rebirth, I'd score such a massive jackpot. I took a deep breath, staring at the purple specks of light. Come to Papa, my little beauties. Papa will love you very much. Poof! My dream bubble burst. I opened my eyes to find the sun already high in the sky. I had failed. While I was entirely focused on cultivating, completely deaf to the outside world, the Sterling ancestral home welcomed a few guests. Mr. Quincy, the patriarch of the Chi family, spoke up. Where is the Sterling family's biological grandson? Grandpa replied calmly. Arthur is not here right now. If there's something you need, you can tell me. Mr. Quincy smiled. Old master, it's like this. My youngest son just returned from studying abroad. On his way back, he was attacked by thugs. Luckily, your grandson saved him. Today, I brought Dylan here to say thank you. He placed a bank card on the tea table. This card has no PIN. Consider it a token of our appreciation. From now on, if Arthur ever needs anything, just come to me. Grandpa nodded. Arthur isn't here, but I will pass on your gratitude. Mr. Quincy smiled. Then I'll leave it to you, old master. Deep in the mountains, I was still wrestling with the purple specks of light. Finally, on the second day, a single speck entered my body. Immediately after, thousands of specks rushed in. An hour later, I opened my eyes in amazement. But then, I smelled something putrid. I looked down and saw my entire body covered in dark, foul-smelling impurities expelled from my pores. I almost threw up. I quickly formed a hand seal to cast a cleansing spell, washing my body clean. I planned to stay in the mountains to cultivate for 1 more night and leave the next morning. Just as I was about to enter a meditative state, my ears caught the sound of a wolf howling. I found a white mother wolf lying on the ground. I pointed at her belly. Difficult labor, huh? I narrowed my eyes at the wounds on her body. This kind of demon wolf was incredibly rare in this age of Dharma decline. The wounds looked like they were caused by a cultivator. I spoke softly. You can't hold on much longer. Want my help? Relax, I'm a good guy. If your pups don't come out right now, they'll suffocate. The mother wolf stared at me for a long time, whimpered, and slowly lowered her head. I reached out, touching her belly, and transferred a stream of spiritual energy into her. About 20 minutes later, I placed 2 wolf pups, one black, one white, in front of her. The mother wolf was on her last breath. She struggled to lick the blood off her babies, then spat out a small pouch. My eyes lit up. A spatial storage bag. She pushed the bag toward me, taking one last look at her pups. I grinned broadly. Don't worry. These 2 are adorable. I'll take good care of them. Hearing that, the mother wolf slowly closed her eyes. I buried her and left the mountain before dawn broke. This trip was a massive haul. I picked up 2 demon wolf pups and a storage bag. Inside the bag, aside from a few thousand yuan of snacks, this stroke of luck was enough for me to brag about for a lifetime. At noon the next day, I rode my electric scooter back to the Grandview Manor estate, only to be blocked at the gate. I had no choice but to wait for my eldest sister under a tree. While I was chilling, an ear-piercing voice rang out. Ew, where did this country bumpkin come from? I looked up and saw a girl sitting on a badass motorcycle, looking down at me with absolute disdain. I laughed coldly. I don't know if I'm a country bumpkin, but I do know you're about to get a beating. I can guarantee that. Chloe Chandler raised an eyebrow and smirked. With that scrawny frame of yours, you think you can beat me? Skinny as a twig but talking big, who gave you that confidence? I smiled. I casually slapped one hand onto her motorcycle and applied a little force. The chassis instantly caved in with a large dent. If your mouth smells like a toilet, go lick a toilet bowl. Doesn't it stink when you keep jumping around? At that moment, Tiffany ran over, frowning. What's going on here? I shrugged. Nothing. Just met someone whose mouth only spouts garbage. Tiffany looked at Chloe. Oh, it's the second miss of the Chandler family. Chloe scoffed. Tiffany Sterling, is this your brother? He ruined my one-of-a-kind bike. What are you going to do about it? Tiffany turned to me, eyes wide. What did you do? I pouted. Yeah, I did it. I hold grudges. She called me a country bumpkin. How could I not retaliate? Tiffany rubbed her temples, nursing a headache. Miss Chandler, my brother is young and doesn't know better. The Sterling family will pay for the repairs. Chloe glanced at me with interest. Fine. She hopped off and got into Tiffany's car, patting the back seat. Tiffany, my bike's busted. Give me a ride. Tiffany turned back and yelled, "Arthur, get in the passenger seat." I pointed at my electric scooter. "No need, I have my own ride. Just tell the security guards not to block me next time." Chloe rolled down the window, looking at me. "The young master of the Sterling family, and they don't even give you a car and a driver? They let you ride this piece of junk?" I shot her a look. "Did your brain short circuit, or are you just naturally this dense?" With that, I put on my helmet, revved the throttle, and zoomed into the Grandview estate. Chloe, having just choked on my exhaust fumes, turned and smiled at Tiffany. "I heard the Sterling family is throwing a banquet. Have the invitations been sent to the Chandler family yet? I think I'll come join the fun." She narrowed her eyes, full of hidden meaning. She found me looking very familiar, like the kid who saved that person the other day. Looking closely, it turned out I was the biological son of the Sterling family. The Sterling twin sisters spoiled Colin to an absurd degree, despite having no blood relation. A few days ago, Vanessa even tagged him online, calling him her forever real brother. This banquet was definitely going to be entertaining. Inside the ancestral home, Grandpa stared at the two wolf pups in the garden, dumbfounded. "Arthur, you went out just to buy puppies?" I corrected him. "These are wolf pups. Just born. Haven't even had milk yet." "Grandpa, can you get someone to bring a female goat over?" Grandpa was silent for a moment. "Arthur, you can't raise wolves in the city." I crinkled my eyes into a smile. "I know. I'll just keep them in the yard. I won't take them out. Don't worry, they won't bite." Grandpa frowned. "Wolves have a wild nature that's hard to tame. They might not bite now, but when they grow up, who knows?" Tiffany chimed in. "Exactly, brother, wolves are dangerous." I hugged the two pups, looking at them calmly. "I know what you're worried about, but these aren't normal wolves. They are demon wolves. As long as I'm here, they won't harm anyone." Tiffany frowned. "Arthur, have you been reading too many fantasy novels? How can the ancestral home keep wolves?" I couldn't be bothered to explain. I looked straight at Grandpa. "Grandpa, what do you say?" Grandpa's eyes flickered as if he remembered something. His pupils contracted, his face changing color. He stared at me intently, his voice filled with caution. "Arthur, who exactly are you?" I smiled brightly. From my fingertip, a tiny spark of lightning crackled. With a flick of my wrist, the lightning bolt struck the corner of the study, leaving a scorch mark. "Don't worry, Grandpa. I am your biological grandson. I just know a little bit of magic." Grandpa was silent for a long time. He never expected his grandson to have encountered immortal cultivation. He thought for a moment, then compromised. "Arthur, as long as these two wolves behave and don't bite anyone, you can raise them in the yard." I smirked. "Thank you, Grandpa." Grandpa smiled back. "Your suit for tomorrow has been sent to your room. Your parents will also be attending." "Arthur, I know you find them annoying. They are getting old and foolish, favoring a child with no blood ties over you. But they are still your biological parents." I raised an eyebrow. "Grandpa, how about we make a bet? I bet that tomorrow at the banquet, someone will try to mess with me, and it will be Vanessa and her sisters. If I lose, I'll take the initiative to make peace with Richard and Laura. If I win, from now on, you stay out of whatever happens between me and them." Grandpa frowned. "Arthur, the Sterling family has rules. You cannot lay hands on blood relatives. Even though Vanessa and the others didn't grow up by my side, they know the rules." I stared at him. "Grandpa, just say whether you take the bet or not." Grandpa was taken aback, thought for a moment, and said, "Fine, this old man will take your bet." I smiled. "Then I'll head downstairs. These two pups are about to starve to death." "Wait." Grandpa pulled a card from his drawer. "This is the card the Quincy family gave you. The kid you saved the other day is the Quincy family's young master. This is their thank you gift." I didn't decline, shoving the card into my pocket. "Got it, I'll take it." With that, I turned and went to the backyard. I placed the two pups on the grass. They whimpered a few times, and seeing that I didn't have food, they curled up against my legs, one on the left, one on the right, and fell asleep. I propped my chin in my hand, deep in thought. Suddenly, a shadow blocked the sun. A man appeared. Lucas Sterling raised an eyebrow, the corner of his mouth curling up. "You're the biological son of my second brother, Richard. What's your name again?" I quietly withdrew my gaze, too lazy to reply. Lucas laughed and flopped down onto the grass. "Nephew, what's your name? Why are you ignoring me?" "It's your youngest uncle, Lucas. The old man really cares about you, letting you stay at the ancestral Hosem. I only get to come back and sleep here for one night occasionally. Any longer and I get kicked out. Tell me, why does the old man have such a huge mansion but won't let his kids and grandkids live in it? No other family has a rule like this. He's just stubborn." He stared at my face for a moment, then slapped his thigh. "I get it! It's probably because you look more like my mom than I do." I was speechless. Uncle Lucas, has anyone ever told you that you talk too much? He winked and smiled. Nope, you're the first. I picked up the 2 wolf pups, dusted off my pants and stood up to leave. Who knew he'd stand up and follow me, hands in his pockets, chuckling. Nephew, know what the high society circle is saying right now? They're saying the old man mistook a wooden bead for a pearl, giving up Colin, an outstanding grandson, for an orphanage kid. Tomorrow, even with the old man backing you up, there will be a ton of people waiting to see you make a fool of yourself. I stopped and shot him a look. Are you intentionally here to warn me, uncle? He replied lazily. That's right. I'm reminding you not to make the Sterling family lose face tomorrow, I chuckled softly. Uncle, the one losing face tomorrow probably won't be me. He paused. What does that mean? Exactly what it sounds like. He narrowed his eyes. You're quite arrogant. The Sterling family isn't powerful enough to cover the entire sky in this city, you know. I smirked. I'm arrogant because I have the capital to be. Just wait and see the show tomorrow, uncle. His eyes shifted slightly, watching my retreating back, deep in thought. Tiffany quickly brought over a dairy cow. The 2 wolf pups finally got to drink fresh milk. Lucas was shocked. Nephew, where did you pick up these 2 puppies? They look newborn. How could you bear to tear them away from their mother? I glanced at him. Found them in a wolf den. Are you joking? He looked at the 2 silly milk-covered pups. How are these wolves? If you don't believe me, wait 2 months and see. He drew in a sharp breath. Could it be true? Why would the old man let you keep something like this? I sat next to the pups, watching them drink, resting my chin on my hand, probably because I'm handsome like Andy Lau. He was stunned for a second, then asked, Did you really have a huge fight with your parents? Yesterday your dad called me and told me to come back and talk some sense into you. I smiled faintly. Let me guess. Richard told you to convince me to accept Colin, then tell me to go home, saying both Colin and I are his sons. No favoritism. Lucas laughed. You little brat. Quite rude calling your dad by his first name, but your guess is spot on. I tilted my head. 17 years ago, I never heard I had a dad. Now that I'm grown up, whether I have parents or not doesn't really matter. Lucas was unusually quiet. He reached out to ruffle my hair. I dodged it. I don't like people touching me. He awkwardly pulled his hand back. You little punk, wasted my entire second of sympathy for you. He coughed. Arthur, no matter what, they are your biological parents. Colin is loved by your parents, but he's not their blood. You don't have to fight him to the death over this. I raised a hand to cut him off. Stop. Don't say these things anymore. I'm afraid I won't be able to hold back and I might end up punching you. The next day, the banquet was held at the Sterling family's private estate. At 7 p.m., a long line of luxury cars parked outside. Socialites, young masters, and big names from the upper echelons all arrived. Richard's family arrived early. Colin sat on a sofa, chatting with 2 girls. Wendy Lawson patted her chest. Colin, even if you aren't the biological son of the Sterling family, we grew up together. We're best friends. Natalie Preston looked at him with heartache. Colin, you're too kind. That's why you get bullied. Don't worry. The Preston family will absolutely not let me marry a vulgar brute like him. My future husband can only be you. Colin bit his lip. Wendy, Natalie, don't blame my brother. It's all my fault. I touched him first, so he reacted. Natalie was resolute. Colin, just watch. I'll get revenge for you later. On the other side, the twins, Riley and Nora, sat together. Riley said mildly, Nora, I'm warning you, don't do it. We are all part of the Sterling family. Our gains and losses are tied together. Did you forget the family rules? Nora pouted. I know, but I can't swallow this anger. Arthur didn't just hit Colin, he dared to hit Mom and Dad. He's too arrogant, he needs to pay. Don't worry, I just want to embarrass him a little. Riley sighed. Grandpa is here, know your limits. Nora smiled brightly. Relax, I know what I'm doing. By the way, where is second sister? She loves Colin the most. Yesterday she even said she wanted to see Arthur humiliated with her own eyes. Why isn't she here? Riley shrugged. Who knows? Probably out messing around with her boyfriends. In the banquet hall, the second miss of the Chandler family, Chloe made her appearance. A girl holding a glass of red wine sat elegantly across from her. Chloe, don't you hate these banquets? Chloe crossed her long legs, looking relaxed. What does it have to do with you? The two started chatting, but Chloe's eyes kept glancing toward the door. The other girl looked but saw nothing. The banquet officially began. I walked beside Grandpa, radiating a cold, imposing aura. All eyes in the hall fixed on me. Grandpa spoke. Welcome everyone, to the Sterling family banquet. This is my biological grandson Arthur. As you may know, Arthur was switched at birth and grew up in an orphanage. As his grandfather, my heart aches for what he has endured. Today, not only am I introducing Arthur, but I also have an announcement to make on this stage. A lawyer pulled a document from his briefcase and handed it to Grandpa. Grandpa held it up. Before Arthur's grandmother passed away, she loved her future grandson dearly. She regretted not living to see him born. This is her will. It states that if we ever have a grandson, her 35% shares in the Sterling Group will be left to him. Today, I also announce the transfer of 20% of my own shares in the Sterling Group to Arthur. A total of 55% of the shares will be officially transferred to him when he turns 18, effectively inheriting the Sterling Group. The entire hall erupted into gasps and whispers of shock. Colin jumped up from his seat, staring fixatedly at the document in Grandpa's hand. Richard panicked, ignoring his pride as he questioned, "Dad, letting Arthur inherit the Sterling Group, isn't that too rushed?" Grandpa glared at him. "Are you questioning my decision?" Richard broke into a cold sweat, not daring to argue with his father. Afterward, I followed Grandpa to greet a few of his old friends, then found an excuse to slip away to a quiet corner. Just as I was about to go online to buy some talisman paper, I caught a strong whiff of green tea, manipulative vibes. "Brother, it was my fault the other day. I shouldn't have touched you. Come home. Mom and Dad miss you very much." I looked at Colin and smiled coldly. "Colin, it's just the two of us here. What are you acting for? Don't you get tired wearing that mask all day?" Colin put on an innocent, victimized face. "I know you don't like me. I can leave the Sterling family. I'll even yield Natalie to you." I stood up and walked away. Colin quickly followed, staying not too far behind. Chloe, who had been watching, also stood up and followed. Navigating around the hall, I arrived by the swimming pool. I stopped, noticing some suspicious ripples in the water. Colin smirked. "Brother, why are you walking so fast? Have you thought about what I said? Mom, Dad, and the sisters all really like you. As long as you apologize to Mom and Dad, they won't hold the other day against you." I turned to Colin with a smile. "Look over there. There seems to be someone in the pool. Is that the second sister you were talking about?" Colin was startled and quickly ran to the edge of the pool. At that exact moment, a hand reached out from under the water and yanked him forcefully into the pool. I crossed my arms, thoroughly enjoying a VIP seat for the show. Colin's screams attracted a crowd. Once he managed to climb ashore, he looked at me with an aggrieved expression. "Brother, why did you do this to me? I told you I wouldn't fight you for anything." His words instantly pinned all the blame on me. Wendy Lawson quickly shielded Colin, glaring at me. "Arthur, you just got back, and you already beat Colin up, making his face swell for days. Now you push him into the water? Will you only be satisfied when he's dead?" Natalie Preston also stepped in front of Colin, looking at me with pure disgust. "How can the Sterling family have such a venomous son? The Preston family will never let me marry you. The only person I will marry is Colin." Colin lowered his head, tugging at Wendy's sleeve weakly. "Wendy, Natalie, please don't say anymore. Let's just go." "I don't want to be here," Wendy shrieked. "Go? Why should we go? Colin, you might endure this, but I won't." "Arthur, I demand you apologize to Colin immediately." I chuckled softly. "Excuse me, but who exactly are you people?" Colin whispered. "Brother, Wendy is the daughter of the Lawson family. Natalie is the daughter of the Preston family." I nodded. "Wendy Lawson, are you absolutely certain I pushed him into the water? Did you see it with your own eyes?" Wendy frowned. "You hit Colin before. If it wasn't you, who else?" I looked at Colin. "Are you saying I've pushed you into the water?" Colin's voice choked with fake sobs. "No, my brother didn't push me. Wendy, let's just go. I don't want to be here." Wendy's voice pitched higher. "Arthur, you still dare to threaten Colin?" Just then, I stepped into the crowd and shouted, "Hey, Mr. in the black swim trunks over there, where do you think you're going?" Everyone simultaneously turned to look. A man wearing black swim trunks and goggles was trying to sneak away. Seeing that things had gone south, he broke into a run. I took off my shoe and hurled it with pinpoint accuracy. It hit him squarely in the calf, sending him face first into the ground. "Buddy, this is the Sterling family's private estate. Security cameras cover every inch, no blind spots. You dragging Colin into the water is caught on tape in Ultra HD." Colin tensed up. From the moment he fell into the water, he knew it had to be a prank set up by his sisters. I smiled mockingly. "Did the person who hired you tell you the cameras were useless? That they'd delete the footage so you wouldn't get caught?" The shivering man remained silent. Under the shocked gazes of the crowd, I planted my foot on the man's back. He let out a blood-curdling scream that could wake the dead. Unfazed, I kept my foot firmly on his back, applying just enough pressure to make him reconsider his life choices. He groaned in absolute defeat, not daring to move a muscle. Wendy swallowed hard, looking at me with absolute horror. It wasn't just Wendy. Natalie and the rest of the onlookers stared at me as if I were a complete psychopath. I looked down at the man, my face devoid of emotion. Buddy, if you don't tell the truth, I'm afraid you might end up half paralyzed, maybe a vegetable. I'll talk, the man finally gasped out. I lifted my foot. That's more like it. At that moment, Grandpa and the others arrived. My mother, Laura, saw Colin and immediately ran over. Colin! What happened? Colin shook his head. Mom, it wasn't my brother. I fell in myself. Laura pointed at me, furious. Arthur, you come back and beat Colin, and that wasn't enough? Now you push him into the water? Do you really need to see him dead to be satisfied? Richard also frowned at me. The Sterling family rules strictly forbid harming your siblings. Do you have no respect for me as your father? Grandpa crossed his arms, stepping forward to yell at Richard. The truth isn't even clear yet, and you're already mixing black and white, blaming Arthur for pushing him? Where is the proof? Colin is in this state. Are you still defending Arthur? You saw him hit Colin with your own eyes the other day. I smirked. Since you all insist I pushed him, I can't let myself be wrongly accused, now can I? With that, I shoved Laura aside. I grabbed Colin by the hair, dragged him straight to the edge of the pool. Let me go! Mom, Dad, Natalie, save me! With a face as cold as ice, I ruthlessly chucked him into the water. Everyone was dumbfounded. Laura lunged forward, raising her hand to slap me, but I caught her arm in a vice grip. What? Do you want to take a dip too? Laura shrieked. You dare? I am your mother. I laughed coldly. I weigh 130 pounds and 129 of that is pure spite. Try me. With that, I grabbed Laura by the hair and tossed her right into the pool as well. Colin had just surfaced, and before he could even open his eyes, Laura landed right on top of him, dunking him back under. Grandpa narrowed his eyes at me, his voice deep. Arthur, I believe you didn't push him the first time. Was Colin framing you? I raised an eyebrow and pointed at the man groaning on the floor. He was hired to hide in the water. He was supposed to pull me in to embarrass me at the banquet. I noticed him early and deliberately let him mistake Colin for me. The crowd drew a collective sharp breath. Suddenly, a voice chimed in. If this guy pulled Colin into the water, why didn't Colin explain that earlier? I glanced over Dylan Quincy. I hadn't expected him to speak up for me. Dylan winked at me. I don't just suspect Colin intentionally didn't explain. I suspect he knows exactly who hired this guy. Colin, who had just scrambled back onto the pool deck, hurriedly shook his head. No, I don't know anything. Dylan scoffed at him. You say you don't know, but once you were ashore, why didn't you clear things up? I was here from the start. You were the one clinging to Arthur relentlessly. If you don't believe me, check the cameras. See if you were dragged here, or if you came over on your own. Luckily, young Master Sterling is smart, didn't fall into your trap, and even managed a counterplay. I smiled faintly and lightly kicked the man on the floor. Buddy, speak up. Who hired you? Don't worry about retaliation. I'll guarantee your family's safety. Unable to endure the pain, the man knelt and cried out the truth. 2 days ago, a woman found me. She gave me 100,000 yuan to do a job. I pulled out my phone and asked casually, do you remember what she's looked like? Yes. I showed him a photo. Is this her? Yes, that's her. It's exactly her. He nodded frantically. Why did she want to do this? She said a country bumpkin from an orphanage doesn't deserve to be her brother. She said only Colin deserves it. Grandpa's lips trembled. He sighed and looked at the guests. The Sterling family has been poor hosts today. Please, I ask that none of this spreads outside. No one dared to offend the Sterling family. The guests gradually took their leave. Once everyone was gone, Grandpa stood with his arms crossed, looking at the family members. He stared sternly at Riley. Where are Vanessa and Nora? Grandpa, I don't know. Then call them. Tell everyone to come to the ancestral home. I have something to say. In the grand hall of the Grandview ancestral home, Grandpa sat rigidly on the sofa. Eldest Uncle Charles and Richard stood by his side. The younger generation held their breath. Vanessa and Nora were kneeling in front of Grandpa. Grandpa looked at them coldly. Speak. Whose idea was it? Vanessa stammered. It was mine. Grandpa closed his eyes. Fine. If the descendants of the Sterling family commit a fault, they must be punished. The butler came down from the 3rd floor carrying a thin cane. Grandpa looked at Richard. Richard, you are their father. If the daughters are, the father must discipline them. 10 strikes each, not one less. Colin suddenly fell to his knees in front of me, tears streaming down his face. Brother, I'm sorry. 2nd sister and 4th sister targeted you because of me. It's all my fault. I'll take the punishment for them. I chuckled coldly. Why are you begging me? Beg Grandpa. He's the one punishing them, not me. Colin cried. Brother, it's all my fault. Please spare them. Nora snapped back to her senses. Colin, Don't beg him. One person acts. One person takes responsibility. I called that thug. I can take 10 lashes. Vanessa gritted her teeth and looked up. Grandpa, Nora and I planned this. Just give us the 10 lashes. Colin turned and knelt before Grandpa, resolute. Grandpa, they only targeted him because of me. If you must hit someone, hit me. Laura knelt beside Colin. Dad, they are good children. If they did wrong, it's because I didn't teach them well. I'll take 40 lashes in their place. Watching the 4 of them kneeling on the floor, I suddenly felt incredibly annoyed. I stood up, a chilling aura flashing in my eyes. Just as I was about to speak, Grandpa beat me to it. I am old. I can no longer manage my descendants. All of you go home. Tomorrow at 1 p.m., come back here. We are dividing the family assets. Grandpa looked at Vanessa and Nora. You two are blood of the Sterling family, Hugh, so you must be punished. As for Colin, he does not have Sterling blood. I have no right to discipline him. Richard, take your wife and adopted son and leave. Tomorrow, those two do not need to come. Richard rushed to say, Dad, Colin is one thing, but Laura is part of the Sterling family. Dividing the assets is a major event. Why can't we attend? Grandpa's eyes showed pure disgust. No reason. Richard, are you going to carry out the punishment or not? When you're done, leave. Richard gritted his teeth, took the cane and lashed it across Vanessa's back. Vanessa cried out in pain. I narrowed my eyes, stepped forward, and snatched the cane from Richard's hand. I brought it down hard on Vanessa's back. She let out a miserable shriek, almost collapsing forward. Richard yelled, Arthur, what are you doing? I raised an eyebrow. Helping you lessen your burden. If you didn't have the strength, you should have said so earlier. I can hit them for you. Saying that, right in front of him, I struck her again. Laura threw herself over Vanessa to shield her, screaming, I knew you were vicious. When I gave birth to you, I should have strangled you. I couldn't care less if Laura was shielding her or not. I swung the cane again. She screamed in agony. I laughed coldly, kicking Richard away as he tried to rush me. I took my time. 8th strike, 9th, 10th. I tossed the cane at Richard's feet. Got your strength back yet? Or is there another one you need me to substitute for? Richard clutched his stomach, took a deep breath, and picked up the cane. No need. Let me. He delivered 10 lashes to Nora's back without holding back. When he was done, he glared at me, then looked at Grandpa. Dad, the punishment is done. Can we leave now? Grandpa waved his hand dismissively. I watched their retreating backs, speaking nonchalantly. If they can't even handle this much, we have plenty of time to play in the future. I bent down to hug the 2 wolf pups, smiling at Grandpa. Grandpa, I won the bet. From now on, don't interfere in the business between me and Richard's family. Grandpa sighed, looking at the 2 wolf pups in my arms. He thought about my magic and suddenly realized something. Eldest Uncle Charles spoke up. You guys go ahead. I want to speak with Dad privately. Grandpa said, Tiffany, stay, I have something to tell you too. Grandpa looked at Charles. Charles, Tiffany, come with me to the study. Inside the 3rd floor study, Grandpa didn't beat around the bush. Charles, you want to ask why I spoil Arthur, right? Charles nodded. Arthur's behavior is indeed a bit out of line. Grandpa said plainly, you saw the 2 beasts in Arthur's arms. They are the offspring of demon wolves. Arthur is not an ordinary person like you think. Do you understand why I indulge him now? Charles was shocked. Dad, really? Grandpa nodded. I saw lightning shoot from his fingertips with my own eyes. Tiffany was stunned. Grandpa, Dad, what demon wolves? What lightning? I don't understand anything. Grandpa's tone was serious. Tiffany, you are the heir to the Sterling family. There are things you need to know sooner or later. Have you heard of the National Special Bureau? The people inside come from cultivation families across the country. They know magic, physiognomy, feng shui, and specialize in handling bizarre cases the regular police can't solve. Tiffany was dumbstruck. Grandpa, is what you're saying really true? Of course it's true. Otherwise, why do you think I let Arthur do as he pleases? If he wanted to, a single finger would be enough to wipe the entire Sterling family off the map. Charles pondered. Dad, if he knows magic, why did he stay with the Sterling family? Grandpa sighed. Arthur grew up on the outside. Who knows what he went through? His killing intent is very heavy. It was hard enough for him to finally return to his biological parents, but they favor an adopted son and treat him like an enemy. If it were anyone else, who could bear it? Tiffany realized something. So, is my brother planning to torture second uncle's entire family? Grandpa nodded, then shook his head. If he just wants to torture them, that's fine. I'm afraid he might develop killing intent. Tiffany, I'm telling you this in advance. Pay more attention to him from now on. Also, we must quickly find Colin's biological parents and send that kid away immediately. Grandpa continued, "As for the cultivation families and Arthur knowing magic, it's enough that just the two of you know. Absolutely do not leak this." The next morning, I opened my eyes, looking at the dozen or so spirit stones that had turned to ash. My heart ached a little. Even though I had guided chi into my body, my physical form was still that of an ordinary person. I could only use a few minor spells and still needed to eat and sleep. Only upon reaching Foundation establishment would I truly be a cultivator. In the Sterling Villa, Laura jumped up from the sofa in shock. Richard sighed. "I don't know. Dad is totally biased. He won't listen to me." Colin gripped his sleeves, his eyes burning with resentment. He had to act fast. Meanwhile, the fake Taoist priest Richard had hired arrived. The Taoist Master Vu looked about 40, wearing traditional robes, trying to appear like a profound master of the mystic arts. Richard quickly said, "Master Vu, he is at the Grandview Manor. I'll take you there right now." At the ancestral home, I had finished breakfast and went out to grab a delivery. In the city, the spiritual energy was thin and polluted. Cultivating here was basically useless. I gave up, returned to my room, and started drawing talismans. I successfully drew 2 Thunderfire talismans. Just as I was about to draw the third, there was a knock on the door. The butler said respectfully, "Eldest young master, second master and young master Colin brought a Taoist priest. They claim you are possessed by an evil spirit. The old master asks you to come down." I laughed coldly. Grabbing the 2 Thunderfire talismans I just drew, I followed the butler downstairs. Richard pointed at me. "Master Vu, that's him." Master Vu frowned, his eyes turning gravely serious. "Mr. Sterling, your guess was correct. Your son is indeed possessed by an evil entity." Saying that, he pulled a few talismans from his bag and tossed them at me. Holding a bell in his left hand, he formed a seal with his right, chanting some nonsense. Master Vu walked around me solemnly, as if performing a divine dance. I crossed my arms, watching him like he was a complete idiot. I picked up one of the talismans stuck to my shirt, glanced at it, and sneered. "Possessed? By what? Does an evil spirit even deserve to carry my shoes?" Grandpa, who had been silent, finally spoke up. "Call the police. Someone is impersonating a Taoist priest, trespassing on private property, and insulting someone's character." Master Vu pointed at me angrily. "You demon! How dare you speak such nonsense? I am a certified Taoist from the capital." I couldn't help but laugh, tossing his talisman aside. "You call me a demon, so why do your talismans have zero effect on me?" Master Vu froze, coughed, and looked at Richard. "Mr. Sterling, I was standing too far away and misjudged. Your son is not possessed, it's a misunderstanding." Richard's face darkened. "Master, just a second ago you swore he was possessed. Now you say he's not? Are you scamming me?" Master Vu frowned. "Mr. Sterling, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. I misjudged. I apologize. I won't take the 30 million. I'll return it." With a flick of his sleeves, he tried to leave. I narrowed my eyes. "Uncle Lucas, he's making a run for it. What are you waiting for? Catch him!" Lucas, who had been enjoying the show, paused and pointed at himself. "Me? Who else? Hurry up before he escapes." Lucas's mouth twitched. He stood up and used his long legs to chase after the man, grabbing Master Vu by the collar. "You've got some nerve, Master. Scamming your way into the Sterling house? Get ready to sew uniforms in prison." Seeing that things had gone south, Master Vu reached into his pocket. But suddenly, he felt a familiar yet terrifyingly oppressive aura. He turned in horror and saw my faint smile. His knees gave out, and he dropped to the floor. "What evil spirit? Clearly, it's an immortal master. Immortal master! Spare my life. Spare me. I wouldn't dare scam anyone again. Please let me go. I'll turn myself in. I'm innocent." Lucas blinked. "Master, what are you talking about? What immortal master? I don't understand." "Uncle, call the cops. He said he wants to turn himself in." Master Vu, tears and snot running down his face, nodded frantically. Yes, I'm not a real Taoist. I just learned some parlor tricks to make a living. I'll turn myself in. I'll turn myself in." Lucas stared at me in shock. What was going on? Why was this fake priest so terrified of Arthur? And what was this immortal master business? Soon the police took Master Vu away. Richard glared at me. "Do you want the whole city to laugh at the Sterling family?" Grandpa's face was dark as he looked at his son. He really wanted to slap him. "Is your brain filled with garbage?" Colin kept his head down, trying to minimize his presence. He never expected the priest his father hired to be a fake. Richard rubbed his hands awkwardly. "Dad, this is my fault. I didn't verify the Taoist's identity properly." Grandpa couldn't be bothered. He looked coldly at Colin, who was shrinking back. "Was this your idea or his?" Colin jumped, panic flashing in his eyes. "Grandpa, I didn't mean anything by it," Grandpa barked. "Shut up! I wasn't asking you." Colin's eyes reddened. Even though Grandpa was never close to him, he had never yelled at him like this before. Now that Arthur was back, everything had changed. Would there come a day when Mom, Dad, his sisters, and Natalie were all stolen by Arthur? No. A fierce glint flashed in Colin's eyes. I absolutely will not let that happen. Richard hesitated. It was Colin who suggested it first. But Colin wasn't wrong. We checked Arthur's records at the orphanage. His personality back then was completely different from now. How could I not be suspicious? Grandpa sighed. The doubts Richard and Colin had, Grandpa had thought of them too. He guessed I must have encountered some great fortune or taken a master, which changed my personality. But he couldn't reveal the truth about cultivation families and immortal masters to Richard yet. Richard, do you think you're the only smart one here? This ends now. Richard pressed his lips tightly together and reluctantly nodded. Right at that moment, Colin stepped forward and grabbed my hand. Brother, I misunderstood you. I wanted to know your interests, to treat you better, so I went to the orphanage to ask the director about you. Please don't blame Dad, it's all my fault. The moment Colin touched me, a dark look flashed in my eyes. I was about to slap him, but suddenly, my body felt off. The spiritual energy in my dantian was slowly dissipating. My pupils contracted. The spiritual energy was fading slowly, but I could clearly feel it. I snapped my head to look at Colin. He was looking at me with big innocent eyes. I raised an eyebrow and used my other hand to slap him hard across the face. Colin cried out in pain, let go of my hand, and fell to the floor. He stood up, eyes red. Brother, if hitting me makes you feel better, I'll let you hit me. I didn't speak. I stepped forward and grabbed his arm. Colin trembled, thinking I was going to break his arm, but I just held it, doing nothing else. My eyes flickered. I held out my other hand to him. You touch me voluntarily. Just once. Colin was stunned, not understanding what kind of crazy episode I was having. Hurry up. Before I decide to slap you again, Richard couldn't take it anymore. Arthur, don't go too far. This isn't Colin's fault. I hired the priest. Take it out on me. Don't make things hard for Colin. I ignored him, staring intensely at Colin. My gaze was as sharp as a knife, sending chills down their spines. Colin bit his lip and tentatively grabbed my hand. Suddenly, the spiritual energy in my dantian, the very moment he touched my hand, began to dissipate slowly again. What is going on? I pulled my hand back, a deep, eerie smile forming on my lips. I get it now. Interesting. Very interesting. I took a long, hard look at Colin, then turned and walked upstairs. Colin looked surprised. What was wrong with Arthur? What did he say? Richard lovingly touched Colin's swollen cheek. Colin, let's go. Dad will take you to the doctor. Colin snapped out of it and weakly shook his head. Dad, I'm fine. It was my fault for misunderstanding him. I deserved that slap. Richard shot Grandpa an irritated look, said no more, and dragged Colin out of the ancestral home. Grandpa sat on the sofa the entire time, not moving an inch. Lucas, sitting next to him, asked in confusion, Dad, why did that fake priest call Arthur a mortal master? What is an immortal master? Grandpa shook his head, too tired to explain. I don't know. Lucas just asked casually, not expecting an answer, and rubbed his chin, lost in thought. Back in my room, I rubbed my chin as well. The sensation just now was too bizarre. Who exactly was Colin? When he actively touched me, he drained my spiritual energy. But when I actively touched him, my spiritual energy didn't change at all. That was the crux of the issue. I had never heard of a cultivator with this ability, let alone the fact that Colin was just an ordinary human. Judging by his reaction, he probably didn't even know about it himself. I thought hard, stood up abruptly, and walked to the window. I closed my eyes, channeling spiritual energy into them. When I opened them, the bright blue day sky transformed into a dull gray haze. I frowned at the sight. This was demonic chi ta ki. A dense aura of demonic chi shrouded the entire Sterling ancestral home. The family's fortune and luck were slowly being drained away. Suddenly, my eyes stung, and I quickly shut them. My current spiritual power was weak. I could only use the spirit eyes for 3 seconds a day. But those 3 seconds were enough to see clearly. The Sterling family, a top-tier powerhouse in the city, was being targeted. For generations, the Sterlings were prominent figures. My great-grandfather fought in wars, and Grandpa had gone to the battlefield as a young man, earning great merits for the country. For a family like this, as long as they didn't commit heinous evils, they would only grow more prosperous. But now, the family's luck was being secretly stolen. Judging by the density of the demonic chi, this had been going on for years. The mastermind behind this was incredibly thorough. Colin was definitely the key to this luck-stealing scheme. I smirked. Plotting for over a decade just to steal a major family's luck. The mastermind had a deep, calculating mind. This wasn't something one person could pull off. But right now, I was just a small-time newbie. I didn't want to clash with them just yet. Living in the ancestral home, feeling the demonic chi surrounding the villa, made my whole body uncomfortable. I gritted my teeth, pulled a few spirit stones from my storage bag, and took the elevator downstairs. Arthur, where are you going? Lucas saw me heading out and quickly got up to follow. I looked at the massive courtyard, shoved a spirit stone into Lucas's hand, and pointed at a tree in the center. Uncle, go bury this stone under that tree. Lucas looked down at the stone. What kind of rock is this? Feels cool to the touch. What are we burying it for? Stop talking and go bury it. Despite his confusion, Lucas braved the sun and buried the stone. I handed him another one, pointing to a different spot. Bury this one too. Lucas's face was full of dark lines. I have to bury this one too? I blinked. The sun is so strong. You don't want me to get a tan, do you? Grandpa will be mad. Lucas sighed in defeat. Fine, little ancestor. But you have to tell me why we're burying these rocks. I'll tell you when you're done. Sweating profusely, Lucas buried the spirit stones according to my directions. Half an hour later, when the last stone was placed in position, an invisible formation enveloped the entire Sterling ancestral home. The myriad formations of the twin elements, Vantung Lung Yi, an ancient formation capable of purifying demonic chi. However, it couldn't stop the Sterling family's luck from continuing to leak. Lucas wiped his sweat and suddenly said, "Why do I feel so refreshed all of a sudden, even standing in the sun?" I smiled and looked at Grandpa, who had appeared out of nowhere. "Grandpa, you actually knew about this all along, didn't you?" Grandpa's expression turned serious. "You saw it." I nodded. "Just saw it. So the reason you don't let the descendants live in the ancestral home is because of this?" Grandpa sighed, hiding nothing. "My father, your great-grandfather, once did a favor for an immortal master. About 20 years ago, that master told me the ancestral home had been tampered with. The Sterling family was being targeted, our luck slowly being stolen. He said, when all our luck is drained, that will be the day the Sterling family falls. He said the mastermind was stronger than him. He was no match. He only taught me one method. Don't let the descendants live in the ancestral home, and limit contact with them so they are less affected. That way, even if the Sterling family collapses, it won't be a complete tragedy." By the end of his speech, Grandpa's back seemed to hunch further, his face full of resignation. I smiled faintly. That method is indeed effective. It kept the Sterling family safe for 20 years, but the descendants are still Sterling blood. The mastermind wants to steal the family's luck. No matter how far away they are, taking their luck is just a matter of time. Hearing this, Grandpa froze, his face turning pale. He paused, then suddenly asked, "Arthur, do you have a way to solve this?" But the moment he asked, he regretted it. The old immortal master was much older than me and couldn't solve it. How could someone as young as me do it? Lucas was bewildered. "What are you guys talking about? What do you mean the Sterling family is being targeted?" I smiled calmly. "Uncle, didn't you just ask why I had you bury those stones? I was actually setting up the myriad formations of the twin elements. It's an ancient array that purifies demonic chi." Lucas's head spun. "What is going on?" Grandpa's eyes lit up. "Arthur, do you really have a way?" I helplessly shook my head. "This formation only purifies the demonic chi at the ancestral home. It doesn't stop the luck from being drained." Lucas was getting anxious. "Dad, what are you talking about?" Grandpa sighed and gave him a simplified explanation. "That's why I don't let the descendants live here." Lucas's eyes widened. "Then why can I come back and live here whenever I want? Am I not your biological son? Did Mom cheat on you?" Grandpa exploded in anger. "Nonsense, I know you like men. You're never going to marry and never going to have kids. Can't you come back and visit this old man?" Lucas coughed awkwardly, glancing at me. Seeing that I didn't look disgusted, but rather looked at him with deep amusement, he felt a bit flustered. I laughed inwardly. But to save my uncle some face, I channeled my spiritual energy to keep a straight face. Lucas scratched his head. "Even if I don't have biological kids we can adopt. If an adopted child is loved and becomes part of the family, won't they be affected too?" Grandpa nodded helplessly. I looked at Lucas curiously. "Uncle, are you a top or a bottom?" Lucas blushed furiously. "You little punk, what kind of question is that?" I scanned him from head to toe. "I'm guessing you're a bottom." Lucas was 6'1", handsome, with charming peach blossom eyes, the textbook definition of a playboy. Being stared at by me gave him goosebumps. He tried to maintain his dignity. "Arth, stop staring. Save your uncle some face." I blinked and smiled. "Got it. So you really are a bottom. I'm curious to see what kind of man managed to conquer you." Grandpa, being older, didn't understand our modern internet slang. Lucas, as long as you know about this, it's fine. Don't tell your older brother and sister. Lucas nodded seriously. I know, but are we just going to let them plot against us like this and do nothing? Grandpa sighed. The Sterling family can't fight those people. If they want our luck, let them take it. As long as our people are alive, that's what matters most. Lucas was stunned but agreed. True. Where there is life, there is hope. I glanced at them and smiled faintly. Actually, it's not like there isn't a way. 2 pairs of eyes instantly snapped toward me. Grandpa was excited. Arthur, you really have a way? Lucas was even more thrilled. Arthur, if you can save the Sterling family, from now on, I am your loyal servant. Just call, and I'll be there. Getting goosebumps from his intense stare, I coughed. Actually, the solution lies with Colin. Grandpa frowned. There's a problem with Colin? My eyes flickered. This morning, when he voluntarily touched me, the spiritual energy in my Dantian dissipated. But when I actively touched him, my spiritual energy didn't change at all. That is the problem. Grandpa understood immediately. Rest assured, I've already sent people to find his biological parents. Once they are found, I'll kick him out right away. I laughed. Grandpa, I don't think kicking him out will solve the problem. Lucas's face darkened, and he made a throat-slitting gesture. You mean we eliminate him? I gave him a look of utter disdain. Uncle, just yesterday you told me murder is illegal. Lucas blushed. Then what do you propose? I looked at the formation. This array can purify the demonic chi. In about 10 days, the demonic chi will be completely wiped out. Even though it can't stop our luck from draining, it will significantly slow down the process. Lucas narrowed his eyes, murderous intent flashing. If we have more time, how about we trick Colin into going abroad and handle him there? I smiled. Think about it, Uncle. If Colin dies, the mastermind will definitely know we're onto them. If they are determined to take our luck, they might use more extreme measures. When that time comes, I'm afraid we won't even be able to keep our lives. Grandpa nodded. Arthur is right. Nothing can happen to Colin for now. Lucas's face fell. This won't work. That won't work. What other way is there? Knowing our family is being targeted and being completely helpless, this feeling sucks. I smiled nonchalantly. We can't actively kill him, but that doesn't mean he can't seek death on his own. Grandpa's eyes lit up with hope. Suddenly, he fell to his knees in front of me. Arthur, if you can save the Sterling family, whatever you want, the Sterling family will use all its power to help you. I raised an eyebrow and quickly used my spiritual energy to lift Grandpa up before his knees hit the ground. Grandpa, doing this will only shorten my lifespan. I am your biological grandson. Of course, I won't just stand by and watch the family die. Grandpa was deeply moved. Arthur, on behalf of the entire Sterling family, I thank you. I smiled and waved it off. No need for formalities. It's what I should do. At 1 p.m., the Sterling family's private lawyers arrived with a mountain of documents. Except for Laura and Colin, everyone was present at the ancestral home. Even Vanessa and Nora, despite being whipped yesterday, showed up. The Sterling Group had 80% of its shares under Grandpa's name. Tiffany, as the heir, received 60%. Charles, who worked in government, didn't participate in the business and only came for formality. Richard received 5%. Lucas received 5%. The third generation had 6 people. Each person, the sibling, received 1%. I received 4% of the shares, just slightly less than Richard and Lucas. Additionally, there were countless real estate properties worldwide distributed among everyone. Hearing the asset division, Richard was the first to speak up. Lucas and I only get 5%, and Arthur gets 4%? Grandpa glanced at him coldly. It's my money. I give it to whoever I want. Do you have a problem with that? Richard choked on his words and angrily shut his mouth. The Sterling Group was massive. A mere 1% dividend brought in an 8-figure sum every month. He didn't dare argue with his father. Aside from Richard's dissatisfaction, everyone else was happy. Naturally, no one cared about his complaints. After dividing the assets, Tiffany went into the study to talk with Grandpa. Riley saw me playing with the 2 wolf pups in the garden. She hesitated for a moment, then slowly approached. Brother, are these really dogs? Can I pet them? I was already annoyed by the pups. I shoved them both into her arms. They aren't dogs. They're wolves. Riley jumped, but she held them gently. They don't look like wolves. They're young. But yeah, they are. If you're not scared, go ahead and play with them. They don't bite. Don't worry, they don't bite. Riley blinked, nodded, and thought for a moment. She took out her phone. Brother, let's add each other's contacts, she said. I heard from Dad that Grandpa is transferring you to Southgate High. School starts soon. I'm in the 11th grade. Who knows, we might be in the same class. I didn't refuse and scanned her QR code. Suddenly, another phone was thrust in front of me. Nora smiled brightly, shaking her phone. Brother, I'm fourth sister. Add me too. If you need anything in the future, just contact me. Adding one person or two made no difference. I added them both, then went back to my room. With nothing else to do, I went back to cultivating. Transmigrating into a novel as a chi condensation level 1 newbie left me severely lacking a sense of security. Meanwhile, in the Sterling villa, Laura jumped up from the sofa in shock. What? That Arthur, that unfilial brat, got 4% of the shares? On what grounds? Richard sighed helplessly and shook his head. How should I know? Dad is completely biased toward him now. He doesn't listen to a word I say. Colin gripped his sleeves tightly, his eyes full of resentment. He had been in the Sterling family for 17 years and got nothing. Grandpa clearly didn't recognize him as part of the Sterling family. How could this be? Even raising a cat or dog for 17 years would foster some affection, wouldn't it? How would his classmates look at him when school started? He had called him Grandpa for 17 years, yet the old man was so ruthless. A dark fire flickered in Colin's eyes. Since you treat me like this, don't blame me for being ruthless. Mom, Dad, Colin said. Next month, second sister is participating in a reality TV show. The rules say she has to bring a family member or friend. She originally planned to take me, but now that Arthur is your real son, and the whole internet knows, maybe Arthur should go with her to film the show. Laura sighed, gently rubbing Colin's head affectionately. Colin, you are the son I raised for 17 years. No matter what outsiders say, you will always be my son. It's just a TV show. Don't worry. Colin, visibly moved, hugged Laura. But in an angle no one could see, a chilling glint flashed in his eyes. Mom, I know you love me the most, he said. But right now my brother hates me. Because of me, he has misunderstandings with second and fourth sisters. After all, they are his biological sisters. If second and fourth sisters take the initiative to make peace, he will definitely forgive them. Laura frowned. Colin, are you saying Vanessa should take the initiative to make peace with Arthur, and take him on the show to foster their sibling bond? Colin nodded. Yes, exactly. After all, he's your biological son. Currently, you are still his legal guardians. By blood, he is closely tied to you. Richard and Laura exchanged a glance. A glint of greed flashed in their eyes. That's right. Arthur is still a minor. They are his biological parents. Everything he is naturally falls under their management, including the shares in his hands. Richard waved his hand. Colin is right. Blood is thicker than water. We are family. Fighting will only make outsiders laugh at us. Laura, go upstairs and talk to Vanessa. Tell her to take the initiative to make peace with Arthur and take him on the show. Laura frowned. You know Vanessa's temper. She got hit with the cane yesterday because of him. She definitely hates him to the bone. How could she willingly make peace? Colin's eyes sparkled. Mom, let me go persuade second sister. Laura thought for a moment and nodded. All right, go talk to her properly. Colin smiled obediently and nodded. Don't worry, Mom. Colin's obedience made Laura very satisfied. Thinking of Arthur's rebelliousness gave her a headache. A biological child not raised by her side was indeed not as close to her heart, but for the sake of the shares she had to endure it for now. Before long, Colin came downstairs smiling. Mom, Dad, second sister agreed. But she says she wants to bring me along on the show too. Richard frowned. Colin, you know Arthur's temper. If you both go on the show, will he accept it? Colin shook his head. I told second sister the same thing, but she said she'll find a way to make him agree. Vanessa was incredibly stubborn and proud. The fact that she was beaten unconscious by 2 strikes from Arthur yesterday was already a miracle. That she agreed to make peace and take him on the show. They couldn't ask for more. Richard nodded. Fine, if Arthur agrees, yield to him a little. Don't provoke him, otherwise, the shares will slip through our fingers. Colin's eyes flashed as he lowered his voice. I know, Dad. The show Vanessa was joining was called Wilderness Camping. It was a live broadcast national survival show, the first of its kind in the country. There were 4 celebrities participating. Each person could bring 1 friend or relative, totaling 8 people. Colin had researched it thoroughly. This show was highly valuable. It was held in Xuanwei, near the coastal city, in a dense mountain forest. The wilderness camping rules required players to survive for 7 days in the forest with their teammates. Only by completing tasks could they earn food. Colin's eyes were ice cold. Arthur, just wait and see. I'll make sure you lose face in front of the entire country. At that moment, I was sitting cross-legged, surrounded by several spirit stones. A faint spiritual energy flowed into my dantian. 4 hours later, my stomach rumbled loudly. I finally opened my eyes, seeing the spirit stones reduced to ash. I winced in a bit of heartache. Using spirit stones to cultivate like this was too extravagant. I sighed. I need to find another way. Picking up my phone, I saw an unread message. I raised an eyebrow. It was Vanessa sending a friend request. In the original plot, Vanessa was the sister who loved Colin the most. In the entertainment industry, despite having no acting skills or talent, but thanks to her pretty face, she gained a massive following. As the young lady of the Sterling family, she wasn't afraid of offending anyone, saying whatever she pleased. She once cursed out an anti-fan and made it to the trending search list. Her traffic in the industry was huge. She trended even when doing nothing. Later on, Colin also used her fame to rise quickly, becoming the youngest Best Actor, with countless fans. I was curious to know why Vanessa proactively asked to contact me. Her first message was very straightforward. "Brother, what happened the other day was my fault. I'm sorry. Forgive me, okay?" Reading the message, I narrowed my eyes. Vanessa wasn't someone who talked nicely. Want my forgiveness? Transfer 10 million first, then it depends on my mood. On the other end, Vanessa was lying in bed, her back still aching. She clenched her fists. 10 million it is. Just wait and see how I destroy you. Send your bank account number. I raised an eyebrow, unexpectedly surprised she agreed. Something was definitely fishy, but I sent the account number anyway. Shortly after, 10 million arrived in my account. Vanessa stated her purpose directly. "Next month, there's a show where I can bring a relative. Let's join together. I want to announce to my fans that you are my real biological brother, the eldest young master of the Sterling family." I chuckled softly. So that was it. "But didn't you post on Weibo saying you were taking Colin? If I go, won't he be mad? He's your precious good brother, right?" Vanessa saw the text and the corner of her lips curled up. So he's jealous of Colin. As expected, someone with no life experience is easy to manipulate. "So you agree? If you agree, I'll discuss with the director to have both you and Colin join together. It's not that I'm favoring Colin, but I already posted on Weibo, and fans know I'll take Colin. They are very expectant. If I only take you and not Colin, I'm afraid my fans and his fans will attack you online." My eyes flashed with mockery. Does she think I'm an idiot? 50 million, and I'll consider it. Vanessa was so furious, she almost cursed out loud. "Did you fall into a money pit? Participating in the show has a fee. When the time comes, I'll give you my entire appearance fee. How about that?" I smiled. "How much is the fee?" Vanessa gritted her teeth. 50 million. I grinned broadly. "I'm in." Then, I switched to the dark web and opened a chat window. "Got a job. You in?" The other side replied instantly. In. What's the job? Tell Vanessa and Colin where they go, what they do, what they buy. Report everything to me. Name your price." The other guy thought for a moment. 50 million. Deal? I waved my hand metaphorically. "No problem. After all, it wasn't my money. But don't disappoint me." At the same time, Vanessa contacted the head director to talk about this matter. Adding one person was originally impossible because the headcount was already fixed. But the Sterling Group had just posted an official statement on their main account, talking about the Sterling family's eldest young master being switched at birth. The true versus fake young master trope was always hot in novels. Now that it was playing out in real life, it drew hordes of novel fans pouring into the comment sections. This drama had already trended multiple times. If the true and fake young masters went on the show together now, it would create a massive media storm. The head director only hesitated for a second before agreeing to add one more person, making it 9 in total. The news leaked out without difficulty, and netizens exploded. "What? Am I seeing things? The true and fake young masters on the same show? The production team is playing a big game. This is the ultimate battleground. Absolutely the ultimate battleground. Can't wait for the broadcast." This news instantly hit the trending charts, dragging the show's popularity even higher. Tiffany saw the trending topic and immediately texted me, "Kid, are you really going on the show?" I was looking at the trending list, too, and replied, "Why, can't I go?" Tiffany frowned. "Do you want to be a celebrity just for fun? Don't stress." On her end, Tiffany rubbed her forehead, nursing a headache. An immortal cultivator who knows magic, going on what reality show? And having already participated, even taking Colin along? She didn't understand. I hated Colin, so why agree to film with him? She had a very bad premonition. When I went downstairs, I caught a few curious stares. Riley, sweating profusely, carried the 2 wolf pups over to me. "Brother, I saw the news. Are you going on the show too?" I shrugged. "Why, can't I go?" Riley was confused. "Don't you hate Colin? Why participate in the show with him?" I raised an eyebrow and smiled. "Not only do I not hate him, I also don't refuse money. Vanessa gave me 60 million for it. Riley was dumbfounded. Are you short on money? I shook my head. Not short, but who complains about having too much money? Riley was about to say more, but her mouth was covered by Uncle Lucas. Alright, you talk the most. If Arthur wants to participate, let him participate. Why ask so many questions? My nephew certainly has a way to deal with Colin. Riley blinked, didn't ask further, and went upstairs. In the living room, only Uncle Lucas and I remained. Uncle Lucas's eyes lit up. He walked to the dining table and sat opposite me. Leaning in close, he lowered his voice. Good nephew, are you really planning to handle Colin on the show? The director of this show has massive backing. Every action will be clearly caught on camera. Be careful. I looked at my phone and replied casually, no problem. Uncle Lucas calculated. There are still 9 days left. It's early. Nephew, want me to take you out to have some fun? I stopped and looked at him, eyes shining. Are you taking me to meet your boyfriend? Of course. This kind of loves is something I've only read about in books. I'm really curious to see it in reality. Lucas's face darkened with embarrassment. I never said I was taking you to see my boyfriend. But he relented anyway. He texted someone, dress nice. Come to Lion Bar. My nephew wants to meet you. The reply was a string of question marks. Why does he want to meet me? Lucas lost his patience. Don't ask. Just look good. Don't embarrass me. The other guy obviously wasn't entirely convinced. Lucas, I'm just your eye candy, aren't I? Did I not teach you a good enough lesson last time? Just wait. Lucas's ears turned red, feeling guilty. He put his phone away and looked up to see me staring at him with sparkling, curious eyes. Lucas had a bad feeling about this, but a promise was a promise. Let's go. Even as an immortal master, I couldn't just stay cooped up at home forever. I sat in the back of the car, bored, looking out the window. Suddenly, through the glass, I spotted a woman standing under the moonlight. She was a cultivator. Moreover, she was at least chi condensation level 3. She reeked of blood. She had definitely just killed someone. The woman had sharp senses and realized she was being watched. Her sharp gaze swept over the cars on the street, but in the heavy traffic, she couldn't pinpoint who looked at her. Frowning, she quickly left the scene. I watched her back, furrowing my brows. The heavenly Tao is fair. Cultivators have power beyond ordinary people, but to maintain peace, they are forbidden from harming mortals. If they do, their cultivation stagnates. This applies to demonic cultivators too. The only difference is, one cultivates spiritual energy, the other cultivates demonic energy. The woman from earlier, smelling that much blood from a distance, meant she had probably taken hundreds of lives. Of course, I could be wrong. Maybe she killed cultivators, not mortals. Soon we arrived at Lion Bar. I pushed the thought of the woman aside. After all, I wasn't one to meddle in other people's business. In the VIP booth, Lucas sat naturally next to a man. He introduced us. Good nephew, this is Mason. He turned to the man. Mason, this is my nephew Arthur. I stared at the man with bright eyes. He was in his 30s with a strong jawline, tall and well built without looking overly bulky. He radiated explosive power, the textbook definition of an alpha male. So this was Uncle Lucas's type. My eyes darted between him and Lucas. The size difference between these two was huge. Could Uncle Lucas even handle him? Mason, under my unabashed scrutiny, had a twitching eyelid. He forced a smile. I'm Mason. You can just call me Uncle Mason, I smirked. Uncle Mason, how did you and Uncle Lucas meet? How long have you been together? Does your family know? Do they support you two? Oh right. Uncle Lucas said he likes kids and wants to adopt. Are you guys planning to get married? Lucas almost went insane, staring at me in shock. Mason was stunned, looking at Lucas in confusion. You want to adopt a child? Lucas coughed and looked away. No, the kid is just talking nonsense. I feigned innocence. Uncle Lucas, why are you saying I'm talking nonsense? Grandpa heard you say it the other day too. Mason suddenly grabbed Lucas's hand, looking serious. Lucas, if you like kids, let's go abroad, get married, and adopt one. Lucas bit his lip, looking conflicted. But your family. I have a younger brother. The family line won't end with me. They'll agree eventually. Getting a definitive answer, Mason smiled brightly. He suddenly cupped Lucas's face and kissed him hard on the lips. Even as a cultivator, I was stunned by the sight, my mouth hanging open. Lucas's face turned beet red. He glared angrily at Mason. My nephew is still here. Behave yourself. I covered my mouth, unable to stop myself from laughing, my eyes turning into crescents. No, ignore me. Pretend I'm Heir. Please continue. Lucas had thin skin, but Mason clearly didn't. He casually threw an arm around Lucas's shoulder and laughed. Nephew, this bar belongs to my family. Whenever you come from now on, drinks are on the house. I won't be polite then. Thanks, Uncle Mason. Mason pulled Lucas up. I have some business to discuss with your uncle. Play by yourself for a bit. Lucas objected. Mason, my nephew is still young. What if he gets bullied left alone here? Mason nodded. True. He took out his phone. I'll have the manager come keep him company. Feel better? I leaned back on the sofa lazily. Uncle, you two go handle your business. Nobody in this bar can do anything to me. As an immortal master, how could ordinary people bully me? Lucas, half pushed and half pulled, followed Mason. Weren't you mad at me, saying you wouldn't see me for a week? Mason whispered as they walked. Why did you use your nephew as an excuse? Did you miss me that much? Lucas looked away, acting tough. Who missed you? Stop being so full of yourself. My nephew insisted on meeting you. What could I do? Mason chuckled softly. Didn't miss me? I hope you'll still be saying that later. Mason led him to their private room on the top floor of the bar. Even using my toes, I could guess what they were going to do. Bored, I looked around and was about to leave when I saw a familiar girl approaching. Chloe, with her tall figure and long legs, sat down across from me, her lips curled into a lazy smile. Young Master Sterling, we meet again. I raised an eyebrow. What do you want? Chloe smirked. I heard you're joining the wilderness camping show. What does my joining the show have to do with you? Chloe smiled proudly. What a coincidence. A cousin of mine is also on that show. She invited me to go with her, and I was free, so I accepted. I looked at her in surprise. Based on Tiffany's attitude toward her the other day, her status wasn't low. I didn't expect her to be interested in such a boring show. Chloe leaned back, crossing her legs in a relaxed posture. Don't be so cold. After all, my grandfather and your grandfather have been friends for years. Sitting here alone is boring. Come hang out with me. She pointed toward a booth where 3 girls were peeking out, looking hopeful. When I glanced over, they quickly ducked back. I smirked. We aren't close. With that, I stood up to leave. Chloe didn't expect me to just walk away. She stood up and walked beside me. We aren't close now, but we will be. Our families are friends and we'll be on the same show in a few days. You should look out for me. Plus, I heard your grandpa is transferring you to Southgate High. We'll be schoolmates. Just then, I sensed something and snapped my head to stare in a certain direction. Chloe was surprised and looked where I was looking, but saw nothing but a dark corner. Confused, she asked, Arthur, what are you looking at? I snapped back to reality, glancing at her. I have something to do. Don't follow me. Before she could blink, I vanished from her sight. Chloe stood there, stunned. How did he run so fast? Am I really that ugly? Concealing my aura, I quietly tailed the woman from earlier. This was the same woman I saw from the car. Using my spirit eyes, I realized she was at chi condensation level 3, but her whole body reeked of demonic chi. She was on the verge of fully becoming a demonic cultivator. Normally, I wouldn't meddle, but I just saw her stalking a young man, an ordinary human, probably a minor. Combined with the heavy demonic chi and the stench of blood on her, it was obvious she was hunting mortals. I hesitated for a moment before deciding to check it out. Little Lee was happily carrying a bag of snacks, texting his girlfriend, completely unaware of the looming danger. Click, click. The streetlights suddenly all went out. The entire street was plunged into darkness, illuminated only by the faint glow of his phone screen. Terrified, Little Lee dropped his snacks. He turned on his phone's flashlight. Looking around. Seeing no one, he sighed in relief. What is this, a power outage? Can streetlights even just go out like that? This street was the shortest way home. Although secluded, it usually had lights and cameras, so he wasn't normally scared. But, with all the lights out, he didn't dare stick around. He picked up his food and turned to run. Where are you running off to, little boy? Little Lee stopped, staring in horror at the woman who suddenly appeared in front of him. Who are you? There are cameras here. If you try anything, you won't get away. The woman laughed cruelly, her eyes cold. Cameras? Those toys are useless against me. Little Lee swallowed hard, backing away, trembling with fear. He turned to run, trying to dial the police on his phone, but his wrist was brutally twisted, and his phone fell to the ground, shattering. The faint light vanished. A hand clamped over his mouth from behind. He struggled but couldn't break free. A sinister voice whispered in his ear, "Don't worry, it'll be quick. You won't feel a thing." Little Lee's eyes filled with despair as he fainted. The woman let go, a grotesque smile forming on her face. She dragged him into the shadows. "A mortal born in the hour of the rat! Truly rare," she muttered, her eyes glowing with dark intent. Even without cultivation, his spiritual energy is untainted. A perfect vessel to consume. Just as she was about to make her move, a mocking laugh echoed. "No wonder your demonic chi is so heavy. Turns out you specialize in harming males born in the rat hour." The woman instantly went on high alert. "Who's there? Come out!" I deactivated my invisibility talisman and stepped out. Seeing that I was so young yet knew so much, she grew cautious. I can pretend I didn't see you. You better not stick your nose in other people's business. I shrugged. I didn't want to get involved either, but the stench on you makes me nauseous. Plus, I just researched a few new talismans, and I wanted you to help me test them out. Victoria's eyes narrowed, her face turning terrifyingly grim. Brat, you don't know what's good for you. If you want to die so badly, don't blame me for being ruthless. You know so much. You must be a disciple of a major family out for training. Got a lot of treasures on you, huh? Greed flashed in her eyes. She lunged forward, her hand forming a claw. I threw a stack of heavenly thunder talismans right at her face. Victoria quickly retreated, dodging the blasts while glaring at me. So you're just a chi condensation level 1. How dare you try to stop me? Prepare to die, I chuckled. Level 1 is enough to blast you to kingdom come. You're just a level 3 rookie yourself. I can drown you in talismans. My footwork was light, fast, and ghost-like. Victoria couldn't land a hit on me, forced to constantly dodge my exploding talismans. She was shocked. What family is this kid from? He has so many talismans. Looking at how confident he is, he probably has a ton more. He's only level 1. How can he use so many talismans without draining his spiritual energy? Realizing she had met a tough opponent, she looked for an opportunity to escape. Calculating that the police would arrive any second, I pulled a thunderclap talisman from my chest. This is a new prototype. Looks a bit ugly, but you can have the first taste. With a flick of my wrist, the golden thunderclap talisman shot toward her. Victoria's pupils shrank, seeing over a dozen heavenly thunder talismans and the new thunderclap talisman flying at her. While her dantian was already half empty, she had nowhere to run. Boom! Victoria was blasted backward, skidding over 10 meters, blood spraying from her mouth. Who exactly are you? I walked over slowly, pulling out another thunderclap talisman, and lightly kicked her leg. I'm your daddy. Then, I casually slapped the talisman onto her chest. Victoria's eyes widened in horror. She turned into a smoking pile of defeat, thoroughly finished by my talismans. I dusted off my hands, dispelled the barrier, and walked back out. I waited until I heard the police sirens before leaving.
Young Master Sterling?
I finally waited for you. Chloe squatted by a street corner. Seeing me, she smiled brightly and ran over. I looked up at her in surprise. What were you waiting for me for? Chloe cleared her throat, pretending to be serious. It's late. You're walking alone. I was afraid you'd be in danger. After all, my grandfather and yours are friends. I had to protect you a bit. I stopped and looked at her, the corner of my mouth curling into a teasing smile. Do you like me? Chloe froze, her face turning crimson from her neck to her ears. Why are you so direct? I raised an eyebrow. Oh, so I guessed right. You really do like me. Chloe gripped the hem of her shirt. She had been arrogant since childhood, never having her feelings exposed so bluntly. It was the first time she felt this embarrassed. I laughed softly. Too bad I don't like little girls like you. Chloe was stunned. She could understand if I didn't like her. After all, we had only met a few times and barely spoken. But why did I call her a little girl? She frowned. Arthur, that's not right. I'm a year older than you. How am I a little girl? I laughed internally. If I told you I've lived for several hundred years, you'd think I was insane. Anyway, I don't like you. Don't follow me. Chloe didn't miss a beat. If you don't like me, that's fine. We can still add each other on WeChat, right? Can't we be friends? Before I could decline, she continued. Since our grandpas are friends, can you at least give me a chance to pursue you? I replied simply. No. Chloe immediately chased after me. Why not? I stopped and looked at her. Fair skin, delicate features, absolutely beautiful. Thinking for a second, I said, I don't like people who are prettier than me, so you have no chance. Chloe's head filled with dark lines. Is that a compliment or an insult? She had never hated her own beauty as much as she did in this exact moment. Should she just go draw a giant ugly mole on her face? Just as she was debating this terrible idea, my phone rang. Yes, I called the police. I'm on the street opposite Lion Bar. Soon, a police car arrived. A young officer stepped out. You reported the incident? Please come with us to the station to make a statement. I nodded and prepared to leave. Chloe snapped out of it and blocked my way. Wait, I'm going with him. The young officer frowned, looking at the two of us. Boyfriend and girlfriend? Get in together then. I lost my patience and pushed her aside. What girlfriend? Officer? I don't know her. The young officer smirked. He figured it was just a young couple having a lover's quarrel. They were young but exceptionally good looking. Standing together, they were quite a sight. All right, both of you get in. So, we both ended up in the police car. It was Chloe's first time in a police car. She looked around curiously, fidgeting non-stop. I, completely deadpan, texted Tiffany to come pick me up at the station later. Then I lightly smacked the back of Chloe's head. Sit still. People will think you have ADHD. Chloe rubbed her head, blinked, and obediently sat up straight. After finishing the statement and walking out, a man blocked Chloe's path. Chloe, what are you doing here? Chloe looked up, narrowing her eyes. Vance, what are you doing here? Vance didn't answer, just smiled. Get into fights again. Chloe rolled her eyes. I came with a friend to make a statement. Seeing me walk out, she quickly ran over. Are you done? I nodded indifferently. Done. Chloe smiled happily. Let's go back together. It's on the way. I frowned. No need. My eldest sister is coming to pick me up. I'm not standing on ceremony. I'll just hitch a ride with your sister. It's on the way. My mouth twitched. Suit yourself. I walked past Vance and left the police station. Vance raised an eyebrow, patting Chloe's shoulder. Little girl, you like him? Chloe bit her lip and nodded honestly. Yeah, I do. Vance looked at her with amusement. Didn't you always say men affect your sword-drawing speed? That you'd rather be single for life than deal with a man? How come the moment you see a handsome guy, you fall for him? I didn't expect the second miss of the Chandler family to be so shallow. Chloe's face hardened, glaring at him without a shred of goodwill. None of your business. If you don't speak, no one will think you're mute. Vance checked his watch, deciding not to tease her anymore, and walked into the station. After all, he was here on a mission. Business first. Chloe snorted, saw me walking away, and quickly ran to catch up. I walked at a moderate pace, calculating in my head. Vance's family surname was also Chandler. He was a member of the Special Bureau, at Chi Condensation Level 4. The Chandler family in the capital wasn't just a powerful family, but also connected to cultivation. So, did Chloe know about the cultivation families? By now, Chloe had caught up, walking matching my strides. She tilted her head to look at me, lost in thought, her lips curling into a girlish smile. Young Master Sterling, let's add each other on WeChat. If we can't be lovers, we can still be friends, right? I thought for a moment, stopped, nodded, and pulled out my phone. Chloe's eyes lit up. She quickly took out her phone, opened her QR code, and smiled radiantly. To be honest, with the Chandler family's power, finding my contact info would be as easy as flipping a hand. But she didn't do that. I looked at her WeChat name and paused. Born Violent, what an arrogant name. I just saved her name as Chloe. Meanwhile, Chloe brutally saved my name as Love at First Sight. She put her phone away, looking up at the night sky. Arthur, at the entrance of the bar earlier, you went to save someone, didn't you? I stopped but didn't answer. Chloe continued. That guy you just saw, I know him. He's from the Special Bureau. They handle things regular people can't solve. I raised an eyebrow. Special Bureau? Never heard of it. Chloe's eyes deepened. You might not know, but your grandfather definitely does. Vance is my cousin. His status in the Special Bureau is very high. If he's here for this case, it's definitely not simple. Since you reported it, he might look for you to ask more questions. I remained expressionless. It seemed I had accidentally stumbled into something big. Chloe smiled gently, her eyes narrowing. Don't worry, it's nothing major. Probably just routine questioning. I looked at her in surprise. Why would I be worried? I didn't kill anyone. What is there to worry about? Chloe bit her lip, looking distracted. Right. I talk too much. At that moment, Tiffany drove up. Seeing me and Chloe walking out of the police station together, she looked stunned for a rare moment. Arthur, why are you out alone this late? And why are you two coming out of the police station? I gave her the short version. I went to the bar with Uncle Lucas. He had business with Uncle Mason, so he left early. When I left the bar, I saw a suspicious woman and called the police. They said the person died, so I came to make a statement. Tiffany rubbed her forehead, her voice still gentle. Uncle Lucas took you to a bar? Does Grandpa know? I don't think so. Tiffany looked a bit awkward. So, you know everything about Uncle Lucas and Mason? I smiled. I know. I understand and support love regardless of gender. I smiled until my eyes were crescents. Eldest sister, stop asking and let's go home. I'm exhausted. Tiffany asked one last question. Miss Chandler, why did you come out of the station with my brother? Chloe smiled. We bumped into each other outside the bar. I was worried it wouldn't be safe for him to walk alone. After all, my grandfather and your grandfather are friends. A glint of surprise flashed in Tiffany's eyes. Is that so? Miss Chandler, you're very kind. Chloe laughed triumphantly. Tiffany didn't say anything more, and focused on driving. I smirked, suddenly feeling mischievous. I texted Chloe, why didn't you tell my eldest sister the truth this time? Tell her that you followed me and demanded my contact info because you like me. Chloe looked at the text, raised an eyebrow, and met my teasing gaze with a bright smile. Her fingers flew across her screen. My phone buzzed. I looked down. Give me a chance to pursue you, want to? Chloe's eyes lit up. Want! I smiled and replied, give me your hand so I can touch it. Chloe's heart skipped a beat. She saw my gaze fixed intently on her hand, full of interest. She understood immediately and blushed. So embarrassing, your sister is right there in the front. I was unfazed. If she sees, she sees. She can't control me anyway. Chloe secretly glanced at Tiffany, then typed, fine, take it. She put her phone away, slyly scooted closer to me, and held out her hand. I rubbed my hands together in excitement. It had been so long since I saw such beautiful hands. I really wanted to chop them off and make them into specimens. Too bad Chloe's background wasn't simple, so I couldn't touch her for now. Chloe felt a sudden chill run down her spine. But a second later, a warm hand grasped hers, gently caressing it. Chloe's breathing hitched, her whole body stiffening. Since she was young due to special reasons, whenever a man touched her, she felt disgusted and wanted to stay 800 meters away. She once thought she liked girls, but now, holding my hand, she didn't feel any disgust. In fact, she wanted to be closer. Thinking of something, Chloe's face turned completely red, her Adam's apple bobbing slightly, figuratively, her fingers curling inward. I had no idea what Chloe was thinking. Looking at this hand, I only saw absolute perfection, a prime specimen. When I touched it, that urge grew even stronger. The nails were neatly trimmed, the fingers long and slender, the bone structure flawless without a single scar. I was mesmerized. So mesmerized that Tiffany caught me. Waiting at a red light, Tiffany glanced in the rearview mirror and saw me holding a girl's hand, stroking it back and forth like a total creep. Her eyes widened in shock. She couldn't help but ask, Arthur, Miss Chandler, what are you two doing? Hearing Tiffany's shocked voice, I let go. Without looking up, Chloe replied, just playing with hands. Eldest sister, don't be so surprised. Tiffany was dumbfounded. The whole world has gone crazy. Just playing with hands? What else do you want to play with? Tiffany glared at Chloe through the mirror. Chloe leaned back, avoiding her gaze, looking out the window, not daring to look back. Tiffany opened her mouth but couldn't find anything else to say. She finally understood. This brother of hers grew up on the streets, learned fairy magic, and possessed a naturally rebellious nature. She had no right to discipline him. The light turned green, and she went back to driving, occasionally glancing in the rearview mirror to observe us. She realized my gaze was purely fixed on Chloe's hand with deep appreciation, harboring no other intentions. She let out a sigh of relief. Turns out Arthur just had a hand fetish. Chloe went from being embarrassed and blushing to eventually realizing that I simply appreciated her hands, with no extra thoughts. She gradually calmed down. For the first time, she felt that having pretty hands could actually be useful for chasing a guy. When she got home, she was definitely going to look up hand care routines and buy the best hand creams to ensure her hands remained flawless. 20 minutes later, the car entered the Grandview Manor. First, we dropped Chloe off at the Chandler estate. Chloe smiled, waved at me, sitting in the car, and then turned to go inside. I gazed longingly at her hand. Beautiful, truly beautiful, with clear, exquisite bone structure. Finding a hand this breathtakingly perfect was truly rare. Tiffany, acting as my personal chauffeur, drove me back to the Sterling's ancestral home and waited until I went inside before leaving. Back in my room, after taking a shower, I redrew the talismans I had used today, then took out a few spirit stones to cultivate. Today made me realize that this city hides many cultivators. If Victoria had been at Chi condensation level 5, I would have turned around and run immediately without meddling. But relying on spirit stones to cultivate like this wasn't a long-term solution. I couldn't go back to that deep forest either. After filming the reality show, I planned to find a different mountain to take the 2 wolf pups for cultivation. The storage bag given by the demon wolf didn't just contain spirit stones, but also some spiritual artifacts. The wounds on her body were caused by a cultivator, and I wasn't stupid. Going back to that mountain was absolutely out of the question. The next morning, the moment I opened my eyes, I received a phone call. Just as Chloe had predicted, since I was the one who reported the incident, the police station asked me to come down one more time. After washing up, I went downstairs and gave Grandpa a brief rundown about the special bureau. Grandpa frowned. Do they know your identity? I smiled and shook my head. In their eyes, I'm just an ordinary person. Grandpa nodded. Let the driver take you. Half an hour later, the driver dropped me off at the entrance of the police station. This time, besides Vance, there was someone else, a master from the Namvin family. I heard her status in the special bureau was very high. In a small room, Namvin looked at the files on her computer. Arthur, the biological son of Richard and Laura, switched at birth and raised in an orphanage. The day you returned, you beat up Colin, the fake young master of the Sterling family, and were taken to the ancestral home by your grandfather. A few days ago, at the Sterling family banquet, Vanessa and Nora tried to humiliate you, but you saw through their plan and turned the tables on them. She looked up at me. Looking at this, young Master Sterling is truly someone who always seeks revenge for the smallest grievance. However, we dug into your records from the past 17 years. Why does it feel like your current personality is completely different from before? I frowned in confusion. I just did a good deed by calling the cops. Why are you digging up all my personal info? Is this even legal? Does every good Samaritan who calls the police get investigated down to their underwear? Namvin sneered. The Special Bureau's methods are of course legal. Your personality has drastically changed. Arthur, we suspect you've been possessed. My face filled with dark lines. What Special Bureau? What possession? Have you guys been reading too many fantasy novels? Vance observed my expression, frowning. It seems you really don't know anything. He took a crescent-shaped stone out of his pocket and placed it on the table. Arthur, place your hand on this stone. If your body hasn't been snatched, the stone will have no reaction. I rolled my eyes at them. Are you guys seriously obsessed with novels and movies? What possession? Do you actually think you're immortal cultivators? Namvin's voice turned icy. Arthur, put your hand on it voluntarily, or don't blame us for using special measures. I laughed mockingly, leaning back in my chair. I am a law-abiding citizen who hasn't committed any crime. If you police officers use special measures on me for no reason, aren't you afraid of the Sterling family's retaliation? Namvin glared at me coldly. It's just putting your hand on a stone. Why refuse? You've definitely been possessed. She and Vance exchanged a look, stood up, and approached me. My eyes turned cold. The moment Namvin reached to grab my wrist, I swiftly dodged. So you actually want to use force? Is this how your so-called Special Bureau operates? Namvin's voice was frosty, and I scoffed in disdain. Young Master Sterling, if you aren't possessed, it's just a stone, so why resist? I narrowed my eyes, the corners of my lips curling up. I was born rebellious. The more you force me to do something, the less I want to do it. Vance's expression changed. He grabbed Namvin's hand, which was about to channel spiritual energy, and shook his head. He's the guy Chloe likes. Namvin snorted coldly, letting her spiritual energy dissipate. Vance looked at me. Young Master Sterling, a wise man submits to circumstances. Let's not make things ugly. My expression remained unchanged. If you two really want to force me, I can't beat you. So how about this? Let's make a bet. If I put my hand on the stone and there's no reaction, you two apologize to me. If there is a reaction, I won't run, and you can deal with me however you see fit. Namvin glared at me, her tone highly unfriendly. Do you even know who we are? And you want us to apologize? If Chloe didn't like you, do you think you'd even be qualified for me to interrogate you? Do you deserve it? Don't be ungrateful. I smirked, pulling my phone out of my pocket and waving it in front of them. Great. Police officer is insulting a good citizen who reported a crime to save someone. I've recorded everything. I wonder what the netizens will think if I post this online. Namvin was furious. You dared to record us? Are you not afraid of death? I looked completely unbothered. So, do you dare to kill me? Vance quickly held back the enraged Namvin, looking at me coldly. Young Master Sterling, we'll take your bet. I smiled. See? Wasn't that simple? Why waste so much breath? I nonchalantly stepped forward and placed my hand on the stone. The stone had zero reaction. I disdainfully slapped my other hand onto it as well. A piece of junk rock. What possession? You guys are complete lunatics. Can people with paranoia really become cops? I seriously doubt the legitimacy of your police badges. Namvin was so angry she looked like she was about to explode. If Vance hadn't been holding her back, she would have definitely taught me a lesson. I withdrew my hands, squinting at the two of them. Well, is that enough? If not, I can hug this rock to my chest. Vance massaged his forehead, nursing a headache. The stone had no reaction, proving that the person in front of him hadn't been possessed. They had genuinely misunderstood. For Chloe's sake, apologizing wasn't a big deal. We're sorry. We misunderstood you, young Master Sterling. I turned to Namvin and tilted my chin at her. Namvin took a deep breath, extremely reluctantly spitting out an apology. She thought to herself, if it weren't for Chloe, I wouldn't care if you lived or died. I crinkled my eyes into a smile. Can I leave now? Vance nodded. Yes, sorry for the trouble. Walking out of the police station, my expression gradually turned cold. I had never possessed anyone. Nobody could be absolutely certain if they had been subjected to body snatching or not. I only knew that forcibly taking over another person's body required a long time to adapt, and could even cause a severe backlash, unless the soul was incredibly powerful. But my soul, ever since transmigrating into this body, had been perfectly synchronized, without a single trace of rejection. Just now, winning the bet meant I could continue being the eldest young master of the Sterling family. If I had lost, I would have run away. The world is vast. Surely there would be a place for me. Luckily, I won. A black Rolls-Royce pulled up to the entrance of the police station. Sees me, driver Wang quickly opened the door and stepped out. "Uncle Wang, do you know where the city's antique market is? Take me there to have a look." Driver Wang nodded. "Yes, eldest young master." He opened the rear door for me. I leaned back in the seat, planning to take a nap when my phone vibrated. It was a few messages from Chloe. "You didn't reply to my good night text yesterday. Did the cops call you again? I heard Vance wanted to talk to you. They didn't make things difficult for you, did they?" I glanced at the texts but didn't reply. Shortly after, Chloe messaged again. "Are you out right now? My racing team has a match this afternoon. Do you want to come watch?" I frowned and replied, "Not interested." Chloe kept spamming. "If you come watch me race, I'll let you touch my hand." As soon as she sent it, she unsent it immediately. My eyes lit up. Why unsend it so fast? I already saw it. Chloe sent an emoji hitting its head, along with a string of ellipses. I raised an eyebrow, smiling. I found this little girl quite interesting, using her hands to bait me. I couldn't deny that I was tempted. "I'm heading to the antique market," I typed. On the other end, Chloe jumped up from her sofa, her face flushed with excitement. Arthur proactively telling her his location? What did that mean? It meant he was inviting her to come along. It proved he had feelings for her. "Thrilled," Chloe replied. "I'm going too," I smiled smugly. "You can come, but you're paying for everything." "No problem. When do I lack money?" I locked my phone and chuckled. "Uncle Wang, pull over here. I'll go in alone." Driver Wang looked at me through the rearview mirror, looking worried. "Young master, the antique market is a mixed bag with all sorts of shady characters. I'm not comfortable letting you go alone." I smiled. "It's fine. I have a friend coming with me." Driver Wang parked by the curb. I added, "Uncle Wang, you can head back first. No need to wait. If Grandpa asks, tell him I'm hanging out with Miss Chandler, and tell him not to worry." Arriving at the entrance of the antique market, Chloe walked over with a radiant smile, handing me a cup of milk tea. I took it, giving a half smile. I didn't expect the eldest miss of the Chandler family to drink milk tea. Chloe shrugged it off. The Chandler family's young lady is also just a normal person. Milk tea is so good, how could I pass it up? I raised an eyebrow, pierced the lid with the straw, and took a sip. It was the honey lemon tea I liked. The city's antique market was exactly as Driver Wang described, a chaotic mix of dragons and snakes. Many people sat right on the ground with an assortment of random items laid out in front of them, setting up makeshift stalls on the spot. The place was crowded, everyone dreaming of picking up a hidden treasure to change their lives overnight. Chloe tilted her head, looking at me curiously. "What are you here for?" I smiled mysteriously. "Have you ever heard of stone gambling?" At the city's antique market, my spirit eyes detected a raw jade boulder radiating a massive amount of ancient spiritual energy. With Chloe eagerly footing the bill, I brought it back. That very night, by absorbing its pure essence, I shattered my mortal limits and officially broke through to the foundation establishment stage. A week later, the live survival show, Wilderness Camping, commenced in the dense forests of Xuanwei. Colin, desperate to humiliate me on national television, secretly lured a wild boar toward our campsite. However, my two demon wolves, now grown significantly larger, unleashed a terrifying, bloodthirsty aura that sent the beast stampeding backward. In a moment of pure panic, Colin viciously shoved Vanessa into the mud to save his own skin. The entire cowardly act was captured perfectly on HD cameras. His pathetic victim mask shattered, Vanessa's blind devotion vanished in an instant, and the internet mercilessly tore the fake young master to shreds. But the real battle wasn't on screen. Deep within the forest, I followed the foul demonic chi tethered to Colin, the crucial link in the array stealing the Sterling family's luck. In a dark subterranean cave, I found the mastermind, an ancient demonic cultivator who had planted Colin in the family 17 years ago to siphon their prosperity. Empowered by my new foundation establishment realm, I didn't need flimsy paper talismans anymore. I summoned true heavenly tribulation lightning. A blinding pillar of purple lightning crashed down, instantly incinerating the old monster into ash. With a single kick, I shattered the demonic altar, releasing the stolen luck and sending it surging back to the Grandview Manor. The backlash was immediate. With the demonic link severed, the irrational, blind love Richard, Laura, and the sisters harbored for Colin completely evaporated. He was exposed for what he truly was, a manipulative, untalented fraud. Grandpa, sensing the return of the family's fortune, finally lost all his patience. He struck Richard and Laura from the inheritance and kicked them out. Stripped of his demonic charm, Colin was abandoned by everyone. Meanwhile, the Sterling Group soared to unprecedented heights under Tiffany's steady leadership. As for me, I kept my 4% shares and left all the corporate headaches to my eldest sister. Sitting in my newly purchased mountain villa, I watched my 2 demon wolves basking in the sun. Chloe sat beside me, her flawless, perfectly manicured hand resting comfortably in mine. "So, Immortal Master," Chloe teased, her eyes crinkling into a bright smile, "are you finally starting to like me, or just my hands?" I smiled, admiring the exquisite bone structure of her fingers. "The mortal world is mostly a nuisance, but occasionally, you find a masterpiece worth holding on to." My biological father might have visibly been the richest man in the country, but true wealth is absolute power, and in this life, I hold it all firmly in the palm of my hand.